What up, what up, what up? Welcome back. This is your girl, Michelle Carey, coming to you once again with some useless information. You know, something to put into your mind. Not saying that you need it, but why not? But before I get into the main topic at hand, I want to talk about this Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark thing. I will admit that I really don't watch women's basketball. I really don't watch basketball that much at all. I'm a football kind of gal, if you know what I mean. But one thing I can't help, I know what happened on Sunday, April 2nd, after the LSU and Iowa game. And I'm feeling some racial undertones that was running through this narrative. I know that Caitlin Clark, Miss Clark, she had been taunting players all throughout the season and the tournament. You can't see me, waving them off and all that kind of stuff, giving them little kind of gestures and whatever else she's done. And no one has mentioned about what was unsportsmanlike or that she was doing the most. It was trash talking and it was bringing entertainment to women's basketball. But just as soon as Angel Reese comes into the picture, oh my God, now we got million plus comments floating around social media about how classless Angel Reese is, without acknowledging the fact that Reese was dishing out the same energy to Clark that Clark had been given all season and the tournament long. Is this a racial thing or not? You all tell me, because I'm completely not understanding. And then Jill Biden had to put her dumb 2 cents in by trying to invite both teams to the White House. I mean, what the fuck is that mess about? Never have I seen in any sporting competition where the losing team gets to ride off the backs of the winning champions because people feel like they have to be coddled to the losers. What kind of trash is that? I was like, maybe she just doesn't understand sports. Because if that's the case, then I think my Philadelphia Eagles should be able to go to the White House with the Kansas City Chiefs. Am I wrong? Or am I wrong? I don't know. But you all tell me, people, really, we need to check ourselves and stop with the hypocrisy. This is sports. Trash talk and bullshit happen all the time. We would not be doing this if this was men, and you all know that. But if you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it, right? And on that note, let's get to our sponsor before I get into the topic at hand.
Are you a book lover searching for your next captivating read? Look no further than Something Borrowed. Coming soon to these retailers: Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, Google Play Books, and Kobo is the newest release by Michelle Carey. Experience the thrill of a good page-turner with Michelle Carey's newest novel, Something Borrowed. This riveting tale will take you on a journey through suspense, romance, and mystery, leaving you wanting more with each turn of the page. Once upon a time, in the land of love and longing, Mickey Monroe stumbled upon a mysterious creature known as Lucky. From the moment they locked eyes, Mickey knew there was something different about this charming fellow. He exuded confidence, with a sprinkle of cockiness, yet remained ever so sweet and caring. Alas, fate had other plans for Mickey's blossoming attraction towards Lucky. It turned out that this alluring Casanova was already taken, and not by just anyone, but by one of Mickey's own employees, the lovely Laura Moore. But the plot thickened as a new player entered the game, the delectable Beth. Suddenly, Mickey found herself entangled in a web of desire and passion, where Lucky was the prize that everyone wanted. Enter Something Borrowed, a tantalizing romantic tale that will have you on the edge of your seat as you follow the twists and turns of Lucky's enthralling journey. Will he choose Laura, the devoted girlfriend? Or perhaps Mickey, the alluring newcomer? Or maybe, just maybe, the fiery Beth will win his heart. So grab a glass of wine, cozy up with a blanket, and prepare to be swept away by the irresistible charm of Lucky and his tumultuous love triangle. Intrigued? You won't be able to resist diving into this gripping story, filled with complex characters and unexpected plot twists. Whether you're a fan of drama or romance, this book has something for everyone. But don't just take our word for it. Critics are raving about Something Borrowed, calling it a must-read and an unforgettable journey. And now, for the first time ever, you can experience Something Borrowed like never before. So why wait? You'll be able to pre-order Something Borrowed this summer and experience the excitement for yourself. Something Borrowed will have you on the edge of your seat, as the mystery of Luke Lucky Varino is uncovered. Find out more at www.michellescarey.com. This ad is sponsored by Sunray Multimedia.
I want to tell you a story. It's a story about Samantha. Samantha is about 35 years old, and she's a writer. Her personality traits: she's hardworking, she's dedicated, creative, she is self-critical, she's introspective, and she's empathetic. Samantha, she likes to read, write, hike, It's like spending time with her family and friends. What she doesn't like or dislikes: criticism, rejection, and feeling like a fraud. Her goals in life are to continue to improve her writing skills and produce meaningful work and feel confident in her abilities to inspire others with her words. Some of the obstacles Samantha is dealing with is her own self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy, the competitive nature of the publishing industry, the pressure to constantly produce new and successful work. Let me give you some backstory on Samantha. Samantha has always had a love for writing. Ever since she was a child, she just loved writing. However, she struggled with feelings of self doubt and the imposter syndrome throughout her career. And despite these obstacles, she has been able to achieve so much success, y'all, through hard work and dedication to her craft. She is constantly striving to improve her writing and overcome those insecurities that she has, all the while inspiring others with her words. Now, Samantha, she's an accomplished writer, and she's published several books to her name. Despite her success, she often feels like a fraud. She didn't think that she deserved the accolades and recognition that she received. And one day, Samantha was invited to speak at a literary conference. And as she stood there in front of the crowd, all these people, she's looking out over the audience. Her heart is racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't think that she belonged there and that she wasn't, quote unquote, a real writer. But as she spoke, she stumbled over a few words, feeling like every sentence was inadequate. She was trying to compose herself and get herself together. But as she looked out into the audience, she saw people. They were nodding their heads. They were taking notes and hanging on to her every word. After her speech, several people approached her, telling her how much they had been inspired by her words. She was taken aback. Samantha was like, "What? Are you serious? Like, for real?" And that made me realizing that she had been too hard on herself. And as she drove home from the conference, she reflected on her journey as a writer, the hard work, the dedication, and everything that had gone into each of her books. The sweat, the tears, the unknowing, the editing, the rewriting, the revisions. And you know what Samantha did? She continued to write. She continued to speak. And she continued to inspire others. And sometimes she felt a little out of place, but she no longer felt like an imposter, but like a writer who had earned her place in the literary world. So let's ponder Samantha's world for a moment here. Have you ever felt like that? I know I have. And despite the fact that I wrote this fictitious story about Samantha, I am a writer. And I understand. I understand. I am about to publish my 7th book under my name. And every time I'm about to put out another work, I feel like I don't belong. People, we rack up a mountain of achievements and accomplishments. And what can I say? We never feel like they're good enough. I feel like this all the time when my own creative writings come out. I have a 9-to-5 job and this podcast. And sometimes I don't really even feel like I'm good at this podcast. And I'm like, how can I make this better? What can I do to make this better? It has taken a lot out of me to work through these emotions. But guess what? I keep at it. I keep at it. Imposter syndrome is a thought or a feeling that you don't belong. Like the success you've achieved is fraudulent, basically, and you don't deserve what you've achieved, despite the fact that you achieved it, right? This feeling can be caused by other people's reactions to you or your achievements not matching up to how others see them. Let me tell you. So there was a study done, and approximately 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. While it's more common among high achievers, anyone can experience regardless of their skill level or accomplishments. It is a psychological phenomenon where individuals doubt their accomplishments and they feel like they're frauds or undeserving of their success. And it's a common feeling among high achievers. It can affect people from all walks of life. And it can manifest in various ways, including fear of failure, a need to prove oneself, the reluctance to take credit for one's achievements. I do that all the time at work, where I come up with these great ideas, but then I don't want to be the one to showcase the idea. I hand it off to somebody else and let them showcase it, and then have them backtrack and give me credit for the idea. I do it all the time. But the terminology of imposter syndrome, it was minted in the 1970s by a couple of psychologists. And the syndrome entails experiencing, like I said, feelings of having attained accomplishments, but through fraudulent means. And it's very prevalent in the workplace, just like I said, just like I've given you an example, where people often feel the need to prove themselves and meet high expectations. And this can lead to burnout, anxiety, and even depression. I have GAD, I have generalized anxiety disorder, so I understand how this feels. And I do feel burnt out at work, tremendously burnt out at work. And I've been trying to figure out ways, how can I bring back the passion and the happiness of my 9 to 5? I think the pandemic made it worse for a lot of people in their jobs because I do my best work at home. I don't want to go into the office. I don't like going into the office. But it's just something that I think a lot of people are dealing with. And I think it's important for employers to create a supportive environment that encourages employees to share their struggles and provide them with the necessary resources to overcome these things. I'm not saying that it's all on employers, but we spend a lot of our time, a lot of our day outside of our home with our jobs, with our coworkers. So we do need a supportive environment. But there are several reasons why people suffer from imposter syndrome. One of the most common causes is fear of failure. People who suffer from imposter syndrome often believe that they are not good enough or talented enough to achieve their goals, and this fear can prevent them from taking risk and pursuing their dreams. They also may be afraid of being exposed as frauds, which can lead to feelings of anxiety and insecurity. That's how I feel. I keep pressing on with this podcast because I'm getting over my fear of public speaking. And I'm moving myself gradually towards changing this podcast into a video podcast so I can put it on YouTube. And Spotify also allows video podcasts. But 9 times out of 10, people don't like to see themselves on camera. They don't like the way they look on video. And you have to do so much extra, especially from a female's point of view, to prepare yourself for video. You have to do your hair, make sure that your face is presentable, maybe wear something nice. Right now, my hair is tied up and I have on a t-shirt and jeans, no makeup. That's not representative of how I want to put myself out there in video world. But nevertheless, I still feel like maybe I'm not cut out for this. And another cause of imposter syndrome is a lack of self-confidence. People who suffer from this syndrome often have low self-esteem and doubt in their abilities, even when they have achieved significant success. I don't have low self-esteem, but I do have doubt. I do have a lot of doubt in my abilities, even though I keep achieving. I don't compare myself, but a lot of people who suffer from imposter syndrome do compare themselves to others, and they feel inadequate in some kind of way, even when they're doing well. It's like the grass isn't always greener on the other side, despite the fact that you think that it is. Do y'all know how much time people have to water their grass for it to be that green? So while others are worried about other people's grass, how much are you tending to your own grass? That's the way I see it. Because in that social comparison, it's often used to explain part of imposter syndrome. So, according to the social comparison theory, people evaluate themselves by comparing themselves to others. And when people compare themselves to others who they perceive to be as more successful, they may feel inferior and unworthy of their own achievements. Why? Because you are measuring your things against a different measuring stick. And we're all doing it, consciously and unconsciously. We're all doing it. Because the culture of perfectionism is also a contributing factor to imposter syndrome. In today's society, there is a constant pressure. Oh my God, there's always this pressure, especially with social media, to be perfect, to excel in all aspects of life. Even victims with the victim mentality is striving to be the perfect victim. It's really interesting because this pressure, it can lead to feelings, of course, inadequacy and self-doubt, especially when people believe that they're not meeting the high standards set by society. But it depends on how you see society. Am I right or wrong? It also depends on what part of society that you are circling in. Not all society is the same. What I've seen is that imposter syndrome can also have really some bad side effects, as they say. The negative effects on a person's mental health and well-being. That because of this, your mind is constantly trying to live up to these unrealistic expectations. And because then it's adding in the emotions of anxiety and depression and diminished self-confidence and self-doubt, it really can prevent people, you, me, and a whole slew of folks from pursuing our goals. Because of this, you feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to do it. And then what happens? You're not achieving your full potential. And that in itself is why we have maybe a bunch of folks out here that you know that they have the ability, but they're not really doing it. But there are several strategies that people can use to overcome this. First, you have to learn the facts, because imposter syndrome is often based in a distorted view of reality. When you feel like an imposter, it is helpful to remind yourself of these facts. Yes, I did that. My books are successful. People are reading them. I am doing this podcast. I am getting listenership. You have to remind yourself of your past successes. You don't have to wallow and live at them. You have to understand that you are qualified. Understand your qualifications. Understand your training. Understand your schooling. And understand that you have probably we've all gotten positive feedback from other people. So reach into that well. Share your feelings. I'm sharing my feelings with you all. I'm talking to you all about imposter syndrome, about how I can feel, maybe now I can feel less alone and more supported because I know other people are going through it too. So I'm telling you, I'm going through it, you're going through it, we're all going through it. We're in this boat together. But in the end, you may not want to talk to me. You may want to choose to talk to a friend or a family member, a therapist or a mentor or somebody that you trust about these feelings. It's all good, but I'm letting you know. Celebrate your successes. When you achieve something, take the time to celebrate it. Because this, in the end, will help you to remember your accomplishments and build your confidence. I just finished my first draft, like I said, of my 7th book on April 4th, and I celebrated. I was just so happy that I'm like, wow, I did it again. I can't believe it. I thought back about how I finished my first book back in 2012, and I can't believe now I'm on my 7th book. And then I also had to let go. You have to let go of perfectionism because I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect. Even though it may seem like things are perfect, Is often the root cause of imposter syndrome because you're looking for perfection and you think other people have it down. So if you're constantly striving for perfection, it is likely that you'll never feel good enough about anything because you can never strive for that. This is perfect for me right now for what it is that I'm doing. So it's important that you accept that you will make mistakes. I will make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And guess what? It is okay. It's okay. It is what it is. You have to acknowledge and accept your accomplishments for where they are. And guess what? Your accomplishment is great. I also, yesterday on April 5th, got to 365 days, my Duolingo streak. I was very proud. My daughter, when I sent her the little graphic, she asked, let me hear something, one of the languages that you should have learned. I skipped all around. I did like 3 or 4 different languages all throughout the 365 days. So I didn't stick to one language for 365 days. I was doing Portuguese, I was doing Greek, I was doing Italian, I was doing Esperanto. I was just all around. But I did it every day. So I do know some words and some stuff. But I wouldn't say that Duolingo is always really good for speaking, but it's definitely good for if you want to learn how to read and write it, another language. But anyway, I digress. I think it's important that in order to let go of perfectionism, you should really keep a journal of your achievements and acknowledging your success, no matter how small things may seem. If you're trying to lose weight, if you lose a pound, that's success. If you're doing a podcast and you get 1 listener, that's a success. If you want to write a book and you finish the first draft, that's a success. Anything that you deem, not what society deems, it's an achievement, is successful. That's why you have to cultivate your self-compassion. Because self-compassion is the ability to be kind and understanding towards yourself. Even when you make mistakes and you have to say, it's okay. When you are struggling with imposter syndrome, it is important to be patient and understanding of yourself. Another strategy is to reframe your negative thoughts and beliefs, right? So people who suffer from imposter syndrome often have negative beliefs about themselves and their abilities. I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do this. You think everybody's always good enough? Yes, there are some people who have natural talent, but what you do with that natural talent is you cultivate it and you make it better. So you have to reframe your beliefs that you can be better. You have to see yourself in a more positive light, and that will build your self-esteem. And it's also important for us to seek support from others, having a conversation with somebody, just acquaintances, friends, relatives, a therapist, anybody. Because support from people can provide reassurance to help people like you, like myself, to overcome our fears and our insecurities. Because guess what? We're all human. We all have them. We watch certain things on television and like, wow, those people seem so confident. Yeah, you don't know that probably maybe before they went out on stage, they threw up or had a nervous poop. Who knows? But you got to remember that imposter syndrome is prevalent in just about everybody, and it impacts all of us from diverse backgrounds. And it is caused by the fear of failure and lack of self-confidence, the culture of perfectionism. And it can have negative effects on your mental health and well-being. But it's how you look at it. It's how for every action, there's a reaction. And like I said, those strategies that you can use to overcome, acknowledging your accomplishments, reframing your negative thoughts, seeking support from others. These things can help. By taking these steps, we all can overcome imposter syndrome and achieve all of our full potential. And that's what my useless information for today is. What do you think? Have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? You could tell me. I told you. And what do you do to combat those feelings of being inadequate? I know for myself, I just have to move through the emotions and let myself know, girl, no, you're doing good. You're doing absolutely wonderful. You're fine. It's all good. But if you're liking what you're hearing in the Useless Information Podcast, please take the time to hit that follow button so you're kept up to date when I do more episodes and they go live. And if you're liking what you're hearing, do me a big favor. Go ahead and leave a review. I'm asking for a review. Give me a follow, give a review. It just lets me know that you're enjoying what I'm doing, but it also lets the algorithm gods know, hell yeah, I'm picking up what Michelle is putting down. But as I always say, I am grateful for your listenership and thank you for being a part of this now useless information crew. Today and always, until next time, be well, stay safe, and give love.
This podcast has been produced by Sunray Multimedia and Michelle Carey. Music by CreatorMix.com. The YouTube audio library and editing by Descript.